proceed towards our first panel discussion of the day. The topic is Collections 2.0, Design Principles for Building Best-in-Class Collections Framework. Well, through this discussion, we aim to explore modern design principles for building top-tier collections frameworks, ensuring stability, performance, and usability. For this, we have a stellar lineup of panelists, and we're indeed delighted to welcome. So I just request that all of you welcome them with a thunderous round of applause. Please welcome on stage Gaurav Pruthi, Chief Collection Officer at Bajaj Housing Finance Limited. Big round of applause, please. Thank you, sir. We welcome Ashish, Tripathi, General Manager and Head Retail Asset Center at IDBI Bank. We'd like to welcome Evani Keshav, President, Digital Engagement and Delivery at Yes Bank. Absolutely delighted to welcome Sejal, Shethia, Head Unsecured Products, Credit Cards and Personal Loans at Federal Bank. We'd like to welcome Niraj, Kaushik, Deputy CEO at iFinance Private Limited. Big round of applause, please. Thank you so much. And to moderate this panel, joining us is Erfan, Khatib, AVP Business Solutions Group, Deutsche Bank. Can we have a thunderous round of applause, please, for our moderator on the house? And with that, I hand over the reins of the conversation over to our very expert panel.
So, very good afternoon, everyone. Indeed, a very good afternoon. I'm delighted and elated to sit alongside the elite panel out here. So, starting off and getting back to business, this gentleman who is sitting and this lady sitting next to me don't need any round of introduction. I mean, we just had a round of introduction, but their preferences and the kind of industry that they belong to speaks volumes about their credentials. So, getting back to the question, my first question to you, Gaurav, what are the 2 to 3 main design principles for building a best-in-class framework when it comes to collection?
So, what I feel is there are 3-4 things which are more important for building up a best-in-class collection framework. The first thing is customer-centric, and it's not for customer-centric. We can say people think that it is towards the sympathy towards the customer when customer is not paying. But if we show the sympathy, we cannot collect the money. And if we can't collect the money, we cannot hold on our portfolios and our jobs will be on stake. So it is not on that. It is most probably it is on proactive communication towards the customers. So if we suppose there is some rate change, which is very normal in the floating rate industry, which is I'm into mortgage collections. So there the floating rate is there. So whenever the rate got changed, so we have to inform to the customer before. We have to tell them, we don't have to only SMS them. We should call them, tell them, so that they should be aware in advance what is his installment change, so that next time it will not bounce. So that is where I'm coming from proactive communication. Same thing, I've heard so many call centers we are using so many call centers only for telling them that this is your EMI cycle date and you have to call them and tell them it's an awareness call, right? But if we tweak a bit of the awareness call, we just add one line that, sir, tomorrow is a holiday, or let's suppose the EMI is on 1st. We say, sir, your EMI date is 1st, please deposit the money before that. But if 1st is a holiday or 31st is a holiday, we should tell them, sir, 31st is a holiday, you cannot deposit it on 1st, because 1st morning, early morning, it will hit. So all these small basic awareness things we miss, and that's make the collection, because ultimately collections means to avoid bounces also. It's not only to collect, we should avoid bounces also. And from the other angle, I would like to say that risk segmentation, risk-based segmentation is very important. If risk has done their job, how they do their job? They do their job by segregating the pool into red, yellow, green, you can say. Same ways collection should also do the same thing. Sometimes we do, some people don't do also. But we should segmentate our bounces, our customer, so that we should know this thing, that which customers we should send it to the call center. In call center also, to whom customers IVR will be more effective, to whom customers the chatbot will be more effective, to whom customers call is required. Basis AI, you can use that thing to whom customers, who will get the salaries on what date, so that we can call them, so that at the minimum discussion with the customers, you will get the EMI. Same ways on the field, I have never seen in any of the organizations, in bucket X only, there is segmentation being done on the field. Segmentation, I mean to say that there are certain customers from the field, after the call center I am talking about, you can segment it in this manner that these people are comparatively low hanging fruits. And some people are very hard. So you should segregate your team in such a manner so that for the low hanging, there will be, you can increase the ACR over there, you can reduce the ACR on the other side, which will help you in costing also, and which will give you effective collections also. This is what I feel is the main thing, what we should think, so that it can become a good collection best in class. Apart from this, the most important thing which is there, which I think none of the collection guys want, we don't want our hands to be tied up. But there are certain things which have tied up. One is the internal regulator as well as the external regulator. Our governance, our compliances, we are the one who don't want compliances, but we have to adhere. From a micro level, if you see, none of the field executives understand that compliances very well, right? But at a macro level, we have to see, we have to adhere that 100%. Plus, regulator. Nowadays, regulator is after us like anything. Everybody knows this thing. Just recently, we got that notice of 140 and 160, 140 and 160, which will definitely trouble us a lot. It will trouble the sales guys also, but more to the collection. Just because of the fact, if we call from 140 or 160, our customers are not that good here who will pick up the call. So governance is also one thing which we have to take care of. Customer-centric approach is required, plus a different segmentation, so that we should be aware of to whom we have to send at what level. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Gaurav. That's a very good insight that we've received from you. My next question is to Niraj, and this is something that most of the organization today leverage on. How can you use data science module?
So good afternoon, gentlemen. Actually today, whenever we onboard the customers, we take lot of information from the customers, or at the same time lot of information available in the various platforms, social platforms, or you can say credit bureau, lot of information is available. After onboarding, we have our repayment track record as well, and at the same time you can get information through bureau scrub. All these informations are available. On that basis, now companies do pre-EMI calling, or you can say post-EMI, there will be a collection if customer bounce. So you want to segregate these customers. How you will segregate that this customer is easy to pay, this is medium sort of thing, this is difficult to pay. Then AI, or you can say data models come into picture. You need to train your models basis your bureau scrub, basis the repayment which he is giving. And today you can say we have got the system, the way system got developed, we can capture any information, how many times he has broken the PTPs, which is the preferred time for the customers, when he is making payment, when he is opening SMS, or when he is seeing WhatsApp. All these information you can capture readily available. On that basis, you are in position to train your models, AI ML models, and you can reach to the customers basis whether it is difficult, easy, or very difficult. So very difficult, probably you want to go in the field directly, you can send those customers to the field. If customers are medium, you can try you can say through your call center. If customer is very easy, then you can use various other digital tools. So data science models are very important today to reduce your burden on the manpower, to get efficiency in the system, and at the same time, you don't want to disturb good customers, the way it was happening in the past. Or regulators, you can say after us, that we should not disturb customer unnecessary. So data science model are helping us. Means like for me, we have got 400,000 customers. I cannot reach to every customers. If I want to reduce my cost, my OPEX, then I need to use data science model. And we train for both, for pre-EMI and even after bouncing. And we use these models to optimize the collection to the extent possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Niraj. Sejal, coming to you as you're part of the unsecured product. This is really very interesting. How can lenders integrate a collection framework seamlessly across the customer life cycle? When I say customer life cycle, it starts from your onboarding till the repayment part. So how do you look forward to it?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I think the basic principle for any lending business is you make profit only when the last EMI is paid, right? So coming from a product business lens perspective, I think incorporating collection enablers across customer life cycle is extremely crucial for us to have the headroom to go ahead and expand business in the market, right? And especially like say for example at Federal Bank for credit cards and personal loans, we do not onboard even a single customer using a physical application form. Everything is digital onboarding, whether it's the KYC, VKYC, taking documents, underwriting the customer, etc. So in a scenario where essentially everything is moving into digital journeys, how is it that you ensure that you are lending it to a good profile, good set of customers and pass on that capabilities to the collection team? So the way I would like to bucket it is, what can you do on the onboarding process? What can you do when the customer is freshly onboarded? And then what do you do once the customer is a stock customer for you, has been there for you for quite some time, right? So when I speak on the onboarding journey, I think traceability of the customer becomes a very important point, right? That's where you collect as much as information as possible that will help the collections team on the onboarding journey itself. Whether it's multiple addresses from your bureaus, your Aadhaar database, etc. A lot of times it's been seen that even from Aadhaar, the UID, the addresses that flow, sometimes they are old addresses, not really complete, etc. Right? So to tackle those challenges, always have multiple addresses from various data points, touch bases available. One of the things that could help is incorporating geotagging, live location at the onboarding journey itself, so that the customer certainty can be established further. Collect work details, work information, etc., so that there's an alternate mode to contact the customer. So that's something that can be done at an onboarding stage from a traceability perspective. I think second thing that becomes extremely important is how you make it easier for the customer to make repayments at the time of customer life cycle itself. So say for example, having auto debit, nudging auto debit almost as a mandate on the onboarding journey itself is a great tool, both for the customer and for your collections team, to ensure that delinquency levels are maintained. Coming to post onboarding, I think closer to home for credit cards, I think one of the things that's effective is when you're welcome calling the customer, right? And the customer is not traceable, start marking those customers into different cohorts, etc. Pass it on earlier to the collections team so that predictive analysis can be done better on those set of customer. Another thing that can be looked at is that any revolver in credit cards, we have revolvers, basically customers who just make minimum payments. 3 to 4 times that a customer has revolved with you, high chances that they'll turn delinquent. So such data inputs, etc., with honest data available from bureau, if it's passed on to, like sir mentioned, under data science predictive analysis model, it will just help the collection teams better, and all this can be integrated into the customer life cycle journey.
Very well put. Ashish, need to understand from you some use cases. Can you just tell us an example of some of the common challenges in collection that need to be addressed?
Yeah, good afternoon everybody. Good afternoon friends. I was listening to all my friends talking about technology and its use in collections. Let me go a step behind that, because see, what is the basic? In my opinion, there are basically there are 3 pillars, or you can say 4 pillars for lending, because in my opinion, prevention is always better than cure. So this situation should not come. For that we have to improve the quality of lending. And what are the 3-4 principles of lending? these are the challenges also, because what is happening today, lot of business is there, lot of business competition is there. Because of that, we are compromising with the quality of lending. And this is the problem why this collections pendency graph, overdue graph is going up. And we are talking about the technologies which we are using in collections. So in my opinion, there are basically 2-3 things are there we should check before lending. One is whether that applicant needs loan. If yes, then how much amount? Because see, if you are under lending, then only it's not use of the borrower, applicant. And if you are over lending also, then filling of the funds will be there. So that will be misused. Another thing is, if you are lending, okay, if Ashish comes to you and you decided, okay, Ashish, we can extend the finances to Ashish. Then next step is whether Ashish will be capable to repay entire loan without any default. That is the thing. If it is there, if proper incoming flows are there, second step is this. And third step, which is more applicable towards unsecured loans, we don't have any security. We have to, because we can't use single yardstick for everyone. Friend told about unsecured loans and all. In secured loans also, we have security. Suppose security value is 1 CR and we have offered extended loan of 50 lakhs only. Then you will say, boss, we have sufficient security. But please remember, we are bankers, we are lenders, we are not brokers. What you are doing, you are selling the property on behalf of the borrower. He is enjoying, because suppose 1 CR is the cost, you are selling the property, you are incurring cost, lot of legalities are there, long process is there. My opinion, these are the things. And foremost thing, when I was into lending profile, I used to see one thing, बस अगर मुझे 100 रुपीज इस मिस्टर आशीष को देने होते पर्सनल पॉकेट से, तो मैं देता क्या? If you apply these 4 principles, then I think 60 to 70% problems are gone. We will not discuss about collections. Next step is, yes, technology is having some advantages as well as disadvantages also. What are the advantages of technology? Technology has created lot of small fintechs, lot of microfinance companies and all. But yes, technology has given a platform to common public also for getting required amount. But the problem is that technology has some disadvantages also. Like, suppose you have calling for the customer for collections, then what is happening? Studies show that 78% don't attend collections call. And apart from it, lot of frauds are happening in IT sector. Lot of fraudulent calls are going. So these are the issues, these are the main challenges. And one more thing which I would like to say, that today's generation is actually living at plastic currency era. Like, previously what was happening during the period of our parents and all, previous generation, what was happening? They used to spend the amount which they were having in their pockets. But what current generation and in our generation, we used to spend sensibly, and if we have to spend something sensibly, then we used to go for loans, and then adjustments means we spend out of those loans. But what current, abhi aapko iPhone is very common. Even call center person who is earning just 15, 20,000, 25,000, he is also carrying iPhone. Why? Because it's so easy, because of these fintechs and all, it is so easy, it's so convenient to get loans. And what is happening? So these fintech companies, these microfinance companies are offering loan at the rate of 25%, 30% for the period of 11 months, 12 months, 15 months. So see, what will be the EMI? Whether that person will be able to serve those EMIs for entire period or not. Sejal correctly said, we have to see whether entire cycle EMIs will be repaid or not. So that is the main challenge, because current generation is like that. They are very open to IT, this all technologies. But this also we have to check. So these are the few challenges which I think we have today's scenario. Thank you.
Good to know from a seasoned banker the fundamentals of lending and collection. It's really good to have you on the panel, Ashish. Even the question is for you. How can behavioral insight be leveraged to improve customer engagement and repayment rates?
So, how many of you believe that behavioral insights really help? Can I have a raise of hand? And it's true, because behavioral insights come from a tendency that is seen in the customers, one, and also it clearly chalks out what you can predict about the circumstances and situations and how you can counter it. So when we talk about behavioral analytics, behavioral insights, the first and foremost thing that we always look at it from a collections lens is the propensity models. How do you create your propensity models? How do you know which customers will default, which customers will pay, where there will be forbearance? All of those analytics will come from the behavioral insights that we keep a tab on the customers. The second piece which will come into the play is your dunning strategy. How do you reach out to a customer? What's his behavior pattern? Is he more open on social media? Is he more open on, more open to calls or SMSs, WhatsApps, emails, whatever be the strategy that we apply. And dovetailing it, what happens is the behaviors insights also give you a way forward to omni-channel personalization and collection models. Like if you are looking at a person from a perspective of him not picking up the call and you're geotagging him, right? All of those elements also will be, can also be personalized and put into a collections model which was not there before. I mean, previously I know the collections agents used to go into the market and used to have a very tough time. Right now they have a clear indication as to where the probably the customer will be. And behavioral insights also enable us to understand the Gen Zs of the world where the gamifications are happening. You can obviously tag rewards to the collection agents as well as the customers for making a repayment. You can also work out a few models around that. So there are multiple ways around it which are really coming across nowadays.
Well, you just brushed across my next question to Gaurav. Evani just spoke about collection agent. So can you just draw a line of comparison between the effectiveness between the collection agent and the technology that we are currently using for collections? So, I mean, he just brushed upon that. I was about to ask you that question and he just gave me a hint. So
if you see, there is a good line between, let's suppose, a call center as well as of the field agents, field collections basically. If you want speed, it's call center. If you say less cost, it's call center. If you say accuracy, it's call center. If you say scalability, it's call center. But call center can give you what? At the max in bucket X, if you have, because you have only 30 days in a month, right? In those 30 days, you can use that call center for 15 days or 20 days at the max, because ultimately you have to give it on the field, so that field team should also work upon it. And we came from a company which only believes in bucket X first. Actually, as compared to the other industry sees what is NPA, what is non-NPA. But we says X is most important, then comes 1 and 2, NPA, non-NPA is separate thing. So we put our 200% in X. So 200% on X means you will not even imagine, we have multiple teams on field for that 30 days. Call center will have only 15 days. After that 15 days we have multiple teams. That is where I said the segregation part is there. But if you see from the field collections point of view, efficiencies will be far more better for that last 10-15% of the customers, because call center cannot collect that, right? But the negative challenges is cost is high, ACR will be so low, right? And governance you have to take care of. Training of the employees is very important. In call center, you just have to tell them this is the pitch you have to make. That's it. In the field, you have to tell them what exactly you have to do. Because you will find several different types of, sometimes notorious customers also. In call center, you just have to tell, you don't have to use abusive language. 7 o'clock, पीछे से ही आपने switch off कर दिया, तो that means nobody can call. That's over. But in field, the challenges are extremely different. Plus, the most important challenge nowadays, what is happening is, if you are seeing towards a salaried customer, right, you cannot go to his house because it's a society, gated community. You can't go there. You can't go to his office. Beyond reception, you cannot. And reception is also not there in certain offices. So you cannot go even till there. So what will you do? You will only call them. So there is hell lot of difference between the two, but the best is hybrid model. We need this also, we need this also. So technology can help us, help us in maintaining that, in getting good results on that scales. But for the techie customers, for the difficult customers, we need the field support equally. So both are important. So I think hybrid is the only answer. That's the only difference. Thank you.
It's a good middle way to handle this. Niraj, how can we optimize collection using digital tools?
So the way Gaurav mentioned, hybrid model is the best model. And as a panel member, I also agree on that. Field has own complexity. It is costlier model, and at the same time, today in the radar of the, you can say, regulator as well. Call center is also on the radar from the point of view of abusive language, or you can say time constraint. But field is more because there is a direct interaction. So once you come in the radar of a regulator, then it is the costliest thing actually. So to avoid that and to optimize things, what you can do, you can have call center, and in call center, you can churn, means like Gaurav was saying 15 days, we are churning like 3-4 days. So first 4 days, 5 days we churn, and entire collection is through digital. Although my segment of customers are, you can say 1 or 2 notch above the MFI customers, the microfinance customer, but still we are getting good response through the, you can say, digital channels. So how they can pay? They can pay through UPI, they can pay through, means we can represent the NACH, they can pay through various, you can say, Paytm sort of things, or money, Paytm or MobiKwik sort of things. So there are n number of channels available today through which you can collect money without going to the customers, and customer can repay. And these customers will be with you for lifelong if you don't want to disturb much. There are customers like today they are bouncing on 1st or 3rd or 2nd of the month, but they are giving PTP, I will make payment on 25th. Why to visit that such customers? Collect through NACH on 25th itself, or you can say through digital medium. On this overall journey, if you can say, the customer will be with you, and at the same time you can optimize your collection. So call center doesn't mean only agent will be there. You can have now chat box, voice calling. So everything is possible today. Means IVR is more or less is not working the way today chat box, or you can say voice bots are working, and those are very, very effective tools to optimize your collection. You don't have no need of agent as well, and customer responding similarly, more or less you can say in the same line the way they behave with the agent. And at the same time, agent may get abusive sometimes, but your chat box or voice bot will not. So I feel that in the times to come, you will find shift of you can say field workforce to this type of, you can say, collection more, and segment in which customers are more educated, more aware, more digital savvy, and this is the way going forward, which I feel is still 10 to 20% may remain for field collection, but majority will move to the digital side actually, and this will optimize the workforce for the company also, optimize the ACR also. Everything you can optimize through digital collection actually.
Very well said, Niraj. In fact, just picking up a point from what you just said, my question to Sejal would be, how would you balance customer retention and long-term customer relationship from a lender's perspective, with the efforts that you're going to put in for collection, so how do you manage the customer retention and the customer relationship and from a long-term perspective?
Sure. I think there is a very fine balance that has to be maintained while you're looking at customer retention when collection efforts are already on, right? So why it is important? The answer is obvious, because cost of acquiring a new customer, engaging with the customer, etc., you've already spent that much money on the customer. But the way to look at it is, I think there are certain short-term and long-term risks that one has to keep in mind while ensuring customer retention. Short-term risk would be that in the whole pursuit of ensuring that you retain the customer, you may offer him certain loan restructure models, etc., at a rate that might pinch your profitability, few months down the line. Long-term risk would be that, you try to retain a wrong customer and anyways you'll have to write him off, if not today, 6 months down later. So how do you find that right balance, right? I think one important thing is, while we use all the predictive models, data sciences, etc., but a simple logic would be somebody who won't pay, somebody who can't pay. Right, if you just start with those basics, somebody who won't pay, there's no worth in even engaging that customer from a retention perspective. Now, somebody who can't pay, that's a very interesting set or a cohort to be looked at, and which can be further broken down into many parts. One of it could be that, is the customer has landed in this situation for the first time? The customer needs to be treated differently. What is the net present value of that particular customer to the organization? By that I mean that how long has the customer been with the organization? What is the PPC of the customer? How many products does the customer hold, in that particular organization? Basis this, the profitability, the future revenue, etc., can be bucketed, accounted into, and then a decision can be made in terms of retaining the customer. While now we've arrived at, okay, there is a certain cohort that is worth retaining, how do we go about it is also another aspect that needs to be looked at, especially like, Evani rightly mentioned that with the Gen Zs and the millennials, etc., coming into force, it's very important that collections cannot be call and collect sort of a model, especially when you're looking at retention as an aspect, right? So how do you give them more self-servicing tools? How do you nudge them? How do you reach out to them the way they would, sort of engage with you better? And having a synchronized communication strategy wherein having a platform, a channel where every interaction through every channel with that particular customer is documented, available for the organization to further feed maybe into some predictive analysis model, or to be given onto field to agents, so that the customer is approached in a manner that the customer would feel comfortable with.
Thank you, Sejal. In fact, while we all agree to what you just said, my question to Ashish would be, what are the strategies for effective collection, especially through empathetic view of collection?
See, what I personally feel, that relationship management sort of thing should be introduced in collections also. Why? I'll quote my own example. I was looking after recovery and collections for entire Mumbai zone in IDBI Bank. So in the span of two and a half years approximately, we collected 270 CR. We upgraded NPAs of 270 CR. And that time IDBI was in huge losses. So just imagine, when the bank is going in losses and on an average 100 CR per year you are upgrading bad loans. That was possible just because of relationship management only. Even currently, even in IDBI Bank, in my entire career, entire tenure of, just on lighter side, in entire journey of 15, 16 years with the IDBI bank, I have made more friends when I was in collections rather than branch banking, regional office, training, different departments I have been. But I have, rather than even more than in lending also. Still I have friends, and lot of friends when I was in collections only. You have to just, previously I said, most of the panelists also mentioned it. I already said, you can't use same yardstick for everyone. You have to understand. I think Sejal has correctly said, who won't and who can't. There is a huge difference in these two words. You have to understand it. You have to definitely, see, suppose we are talking about collections. See, we have some internal challenges also, like internal processes are also not good. I'll quote one example. Suppose 10th is the EMI date, right? 10th was EMI date, 11th was Sunday or holiday. What call centers are doing, 12th morning call centers are calling to the customers, boss, आपकी EMI नहीं आया है, आप default कर गए हैं, आपका ये हो जाएगा. मतलब they used to, they harshly bombarding over the customers. But the problem is not with customers' end. His account was already debited on 10th, but it is yet not credited in loans account. So that is system's problem. So we have to be empathetic. Why I said empathy is very important and relationship management is, because correct, hybrid model is very much required. Purely IT we can't go. We have to have, it is India. We have to have hybrid model for everything. But in this hybrid model, we have to understand what is, some of my panelists was saying that we put 200% efforts in bucket X, or you can say SMS 0, if we talk about, talk in technical terms. Why SMS 0? We have to understand whether that is the issue at customer's end or bank's end. I have seen it, 50 to 60% cases are in bucket X or bucket 0 or SMS 0 just because they are non-starters. What are non-starters? Their NACH mandate is not updated. Their mandate is not updated. But boss, he has given instruction. You have not updated mandate, and you have not updated mandate properly. He is maintaining proper accounts, but your call center people will call, boss, your EMI has not come. You are defaulter now. I also used to, on lighter note, I used to use this word not to the customers, the borrowers who are okay. Borrowers can have problems. I used to use a statement to our perennial NPA customers. But boss, you are bloody defaulter. That was my statement for the perennial NPA. But that statement can't be given to SMA 0, SMA 1 bucket customers. So relationship management is very important. Customer engagement is very important, because again I'll quote, studies show that 73% borrowers become brand loyal to that particular lender or bank, which shows empathy towards the customer for in collections. And from those type of, because if a friend in need is friend indeed. So if they are in trouble and you give some 10-15 days time, they are asking for just 10-15 days time if they are genuine customers. If you are extending 10-15 days time within that bracket, those people will become your permanent customer. And correctly said by my panelists, that those customer will not only be the customer for that particular product, they will be loyal customer for the bank, and more profitability you can generate from those customers. So in my, I'll summarize it this way, that technology is, yes, technology has some advantages, but it is costly, but still you can, compensate that cost by relationship management and customer engagement. That's all.
While we spoke a lot about collection, we spoke a lot about lending, we did talk about leveraging on data, we talk about the technology. Evani, my question to you would be, with evolving data privacy laws, how could a collection team manage consent and data usage responsibly? Because now we talk about the stringent laws that are coming in for when it comes to data protection. So how do you see that and how can we manage that?
So there's no fixed answer to it yet. Everybody is evolving with the DPDPA piece right now to understand first what is a consent, where do you take it while onboarding a customer, while issuing a loan, what consents are you picking up, and then you have the other problem as to, because it's a customer consent, customer also has his view to it, and he can obviously say, he can go back on his consent or recall his consent anytime. There are facilitations inside DPDPA for that. So it's a very tricky situation where you'll have to figure out and be, how should I say, compliant as well as safeguard your own pieces. So when we talk about DPDPA, I think the first and foremost piece is the required consents which a collection team will need have to be preemptively put across when we are onboarding a customer, whether it be his geotagging, whether it be his home addresses, whether it be calling to his home addresses or on his mobiles, how the communication flow will happen, whether we are okay to send him emails or other pieces. That's one part of it. The second part of it is also to understand that the data that we collect is not getting misused anywhere else, because that will bring in a second set of problems from a governance perspective. So ethical collections will start evolving from this DPDPA piece, where they will say you have a certain set of data which there is a consent for, you can use it, but you can use it in a certain manner only. That's the second part. The third part is, once you have data, once you churn, once you know behavioral analytics or whatever items that you want to take from the consent management piece. The third piece which will come in is to ensure that the data is being audited properly inside the organization. That means the misuse of data is also being looked upon by third party, and that is being reported to the regulators. So I think overall we have the consent framework in place, but the ground level challenges will slowly start coming in when we will start implementing it on a full note.
So in a nutshell, usage of data is like...
just to add on to that, I think, Evani, what I think is it will also evolve once we see use cases picking up. And I think somewhere then again regulator will sort of have to play a very important role to sort of...
Yeah, very true. I'll give you a very good example for this. What is ongoing right now in the industry is you have account aggregator in one place. So you have a consent there for to check his account before we request for a collection or a soft collection for that matter. And we know if there is the amount is low, then we have a consent to call him and gather the data. I mean, request him to say whether he will be able to pay, he will be able to, whether his account is funded or the other pieces, that set of parameters that we should have follow as a checklist. Now, these are all standard protocols right now with account aggregator piece, so that he doesn't fall under a defaulters list or other pieces. But the second set of problem statements which I was mentioning was more from evolving stage where we know that the customer behavior pattern will push towards it, where he will revoke a consent, and then that becomes a contention point.
So in a nutshell, playing around with data is like walking on a thin ice. You got to be doubly careful what you're doing with. With that, can I have the concluding remarks from the elite panelists, starting with you, Niraj?
So collection for the organization is very important, as we know. The way it mentioned that till we get last EMI, we are not in profit then. So collection is important, but at the same time we need to take care of the customers as well. So I will say that collection is important, but not at the cost of customers' dissatisfaction. So that is my take in the entire collection process actually. Thank you.
Sejal?
I think the way I would like to sum it up and with like we have to be aware that whether we are on field or whether it's digital channels, etc., right? When we are engaging with a borrower who has moved onto any of these buckets, very likely that there are other lenders fighting for the same buck to be recovered. So essentially, collection framework has to be designed in a manner that you recover the maximum in a compliant, ethical, empathetic manner from the customer. And I think that is possible. Empathy is possible only when you understand, then personalize, and then give him a lot of flexible, tailor-made solutions, and also approach the way you communicate to the customer. So that would be my 2 cents on this.
Okay, I'll leave the flow with a perspective out here. I think the collections on the retail front, I think everybody is pretty clear at this point of time, because there's a bit of empathy involved, there's a bit of a circumstances involved, there's a bit of understanding and a relationship manager. The second set, I think, on the collections piece, which will be very prominent in coming days, will be the early warning systems with respect to the corporate collections piece. And I think that's where the whole future will be trending. The AI predictable models on the unstructured data which is available online about the companies, the behaviors, the directors, what they are doing and other pieces, and analyzing it to ensure that the company, whatever loans have been provided to a corporate will come back through, and how to manage that will be a second set of story which we will all see unfold in coming days, I feel.
More towards the hybrid model, first of all, as everybody agreed upon it. But again, the collection model is different for different product. That is very important. If you're talking about unsecured, it's entirely different. If you talk about mortgage loans, it's entirely different. Unsecured, every ticket size, most of the companies, every ticket size is less than 5 lakh rupees nowadays also. But if you talk about the average mortgage ticket size is 50 lakh rupees. So for there, we have to show sympathy to the customer just on the ground. Along with that, we need relationship also, because it's not a 1 year or 2 year or 5 year loans. It's a 20 years loan. Today, what I feel is that we should train our people, collection people, more than the sales guy. Sales guy can give at any point of time a goalie for selling this loan. It's a one-time event. But for a collection guy, he has to go multiple times during this 10 years or 15 years or 20 years of the tenure. So we should train them in a much proper manner, so that they should also understand that he can be a repetitive customer. If we maintain a relationship, he will not be a repetitive customer. It will add value to the organizations. And on the other hand, nowadays what is happening is as she said, last installment is our profit. No, nowadays it's entirely different. We are charging 20%, 30% rate of interest, which means that in 5 years time, 2 years, 2.5 years, we are at par. Right? So half of the tenor, we are at par. That's why 5% NPA, 4% NPAs are okay to us. Earlier it was not the scenario. We are becoming Mahajans nowadays. So empathy is already gone over there. So we are just making money. And if we are talking about we are making money, we should spend money on collections also. Which company doesn't understand at certain point of time कि नहीं call center चाहिए, but we need people at field, because if we वो बोलते हैं ना सांप को आप देखोगे तो मार दो तो it will not hamper you later on. So it's the same thing. If you collect, if you show something to the customers on the very first day or 30th day, within 30th day if you are collecting the money, you have to tell him, boss, this time you have paid, going forward you don't have to bounce. That should be the approach, which we are lacking in certain parameters. That's it. Thank you.
Going by the changing habits of borrowers, collections is very important, because Gen Z is, very carefree sort of generation. So collections is very important, because collections affects us means we bankers and lenders 2 ways. One, cost increases, and another thing is it affects our balance sheets also. So we have to, yes, I am also agree, we have to use hybrid model, but proper monitoring should be there. I just quote one example. my previous panelist was talking about, the communication between the agency guy and borrower. What agency guys play with that, with our system? How? Suppose SMS 0, 1, 2, three buckets are there. They'll ask, customer is ready to pay 2 EMIs. So that it comes back to from SMA 1, SMA 2 to SMA 0. So that in next notch, it will be out of delinquency. But they ask people, no, boss, this critical amount is there. You pay 1 EMI, you pay this much amount. So that this will go to previous bucket. Next month, it will again come to this bucket. And from same customer or churning of same customer, they used to generate income, which even banks can't generate. So proper monitoring is also there. And yes, we can minimize this cost and minimize all these issues by relationship management, introduction of relationship management and customer engagement in collections and recovery also. Thanks.
With that, I open the floor to the audience for their questions.
Hi, my question to the panel. We heard a lot about customer, being good to the customer, empathy, governance, compliances. Is there any understanding within the collections industry? What are we doing to curb the funding as an issue? What are we doing to curb over leveraging by virtue of which customers are committing suicide? The staffs of very renowned organizations are having to pay from their salaries to fulfill their targets. What are we doing as, when we say governance and compliances, where is it stopping? Is it doing something about, is it trying to solve this as a problem for the industry?
Yeah, if you talk about funding, yes, funding is an issue, but we have to see what is the percentage. If we see from that angle, I don't think so, it's not more than 0.2, 0.3%. That is what we are talking about. Yes, from a governance point of view, we should control that also. That is also not correct. But that percentage is not that bigger what we are assuming. Because you don't know what the last guy, we just heard this from different people, right? But reality is sometimes different. Let me put, once I have gone to a customer, he told me that, sir, my guy told me that, sir, I am putting money in this, right? From 6 months. When I go to the customer, he said, every month I pay him, sir. Every month I pay him. But the guy perspective was that I am paying him from last 6 months. I am arranging a financer who is paying him and he's paying the interest on that. But ideally the situation was not that. It's depend upon what we are hearing. What they are telling is entirely different and the reality is entirely different. Please speak to the customer. Then you will be able to understand what the reality is. Reality is not this. People are saying that there is a lot of funding is going on, but it is not like that. Who will pay? Let me tell you, let me ask you, if you are getting a 20,000 rupees salary, will you give 20,000 rupees to the organization back every month? Is it possible? It's next to impossible.
Yeah, but that's, you said 0.2% or whatever. Unethical is unethical.
Yeah.
Compliance and governance has to have a vision to ensure that the last mile is solved. Right?
I totally agree. We should stop that also. But I am just again saying, it's just a pinch of salt. We should adhere to that also. It should not happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I can add here. So what just Gaurav was mentioning, organization is not pushing to give money towards EMI to the employee. It is like somewhere a incentive structure is also playing that role also. So if somebody is reaching I need to collect out of 25 cases in 20 cases, he has collected 19 cases. So he willingly is doing, organization is not putting pressure. That should not happen actually. So it is a combined effect of two things. One, sometime pressure, another time is because of managing incentives as well. But as a organization, no organization impose that you need to, you can say, put money towards the EMI of the customer. There may be few rare cases, but that happens in rest of the things as well. In business also, in some other situations as well. So exception you will find, but 99.9 or 99.8% cases, I don't think employees are putting money. So that is one situation. Second question you asked, one more question you asked. Over leveraging, yes. So over leveraging comes from cash flow assessment point of view. One time means there are two kind of things. One is when you fund through the balance sheet, chances of over leveraging will be very remote. But when you are assessing the income and giving the money, then chances of over leveraging will be there. And majority of the situation which you are saying, like suicide or whatever it may be, it is unorganized sector basically, where assessment is bit difficult. Intentionally nobody wants to give money unnecessarily. I will give money, you pay or don't. Situation is, it is unorganized segment. Today I am seeing inventory of 1 lakh rupees. Intentionally probably he has created inventory of 1 lakh rupees to avail the money. Tomorrow that inventory is not there. How somebody will say that I am over leveraging or customer wants money that moment. So it is a tricky situation. Nobody wants to, as a business, I don't want to give money, I don't want to make him over leverage. But he has created that setup in such a manner that because balance sheet is not there, P&L is not there, bank statement, yes, to some extent support or don't support, still I am giving money. So it is a thin line, but yes, today in microfinance industry we are facing that problem. Over leveraging. To some extent we are responsible, but greater extent customer is equally responsible. Let me tell you categorically actually.
I would like to add one thing what Niraj was saying. These probabilities are more in working capital loans. There you calculate the eligibility on the basis of not only previous inflows, but estimated also. Next 3 years estimation you take. Customer wants to take, and here the role of CAs is also, must be also in question, not only bankers and lenders. Why? Because CA asks customer and banker when he wants to take a loan of 1 crore. CA knows how to manipulate it. वो रिवर्स कैलकुलेशन करता है, तो उसमें बैंकर की फॉल्ट कम है. कस्टमर, बिकॉज कस्टमर वांट्स एंड ही पेज सम एक्स्ट्रा मनी टू द सीए कि बॉस मेरे को फाइनेंशियल्स इस तरह से बना के दीजिए आप. बैंक ठीक है, इट इज देयर, 3I प्रिंसिपल शुड बी देयर इन बैंकिंग वाइल लेंडिंग, वी अंडरस्टैंड. बट हमारे सबके पास संजय की आंखें नहीं है कि हम सब कुछ देख लेंगे. फोरसाइटेडनेस, इतनी फोरसाइटेडनेस नहीं है कि हम देख लेंगे कि 5 साल बाद ये कस्टमर डिफॉल्ट करेगा. सो not only bankers, not only lenders, some other parties are also involved in this, including the customer. Major role is including his customer, because he wants extra money for whatever means for business setup. और कल को अगर business fail हो गया तो everything is on soup और banker से question किया जाएगा. That is the problem.